Okay, so we'll be starting with Unit 5, Sharing Forces and Bending Moments. I'm audible to all. You can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. So since last class, I already discussed this, but since we are doing group wise, we'll be starting it again. Okay, Unit 5 is Sharing Forces and Bending Moments. Okay, this is the last topic which we have to complete this one. Again, if you see sharing forces and bending moments is related to stresses on the ship. Whatever stresses the vessel experiences, we call it as sharing forces and bending moments in short. Now, why does this sharing forces and bending moments occur on ship is due to the distribution of weights. So if you take an box shaped vessel, the distribution of weights will be very equal. But again, a ship-shaped vessel, if you see the weight forces or the distribution of weights all along the length of the vessel won't be equal. So, and again, the buoyancy force, which is caused due to the water, that will be acting from downwards, and the weight forces will be acting downwards, and the buoyancy forces will be acting upwards. Now, due to this, you will have shearing forces and bending moments. Okay. Now, these stresses, whatever I'm saying, these stresses as shearing forces and bending moments will always be there, no matter whether the ship is loaded or whether the ship is in ballast condition. You will have all these stresses because the distribution of weights on board is not equal all along the vessel. That is one factor. And you will have a buoyancy force acting from downwards. So due to this, you will have stresses on the ship. Now these stresses, when you're at port, you'll have one, and once you go to sea, these stresses will increase due to the waves or due to the swell, whatever you experience on at sea. So these stresses are going to increase. Now in this chapter, we will be discussing how these shearing forces and bending moments occur, and we will be understanding more about this with a example, solving a problem and doing it. Okay, now let's take a box shaped vessel. Now we'll understand how these shearing forces and bending moments occur. Now let's take a box shaped vessel. Okay, now the box shaped vessel is floating on even keel, and the vessel is, the lightship weight is 9,000 tons, and it is floating on even keels. So if the displacement of the vessel is 9,000 tons, what we have done, we have taken our box shaped vessel and divided into three compartments, three equal compartments. So if the vessel's displacement is 9,000 tons, your weight force, that is the weight of the vessel, is equally distributed in the three compartments or three holds, let's say. So the weight force which is going to act downwards due to the entire weight of the vessel will be equally distributed into three holds. So your total weight force acting downwards will be 9,000 tons. Now to compensate this, your buoyancy force from the water, which is acting upwards, because whatever 9,000 tons has to get displaced, right? So your buoyancy force is going to act upwards. If you take that, again, that will be equally distributed all along the vessel. If you take the distribution, it will be 3,000 tons equally distributed, and that will add up to 9,000 tons. Okay. So your entire weight force acting downwards will be equal to the buoyancy force which is acting downwards. So your total buoyancy force and weight force will be equal. Now in this condition, there won't be any shearing forces or bending moments because the weight forces and the buoyancy forces are equal, and it is distributed equally all along the vessel. Okay, understood up to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's go to the next slide. So as we discussed here, like the total weight force acting downwards equals to the buoyancy force acting upwards. Now what we do, we are going to load 6,000 tons of bulk cargo is loaded into number 2 cargo hold. We are loading 6,000 tons in number 2 cargo hold, and it is trimmed level. It is trimmed level means cargo is equally distributed all along the cargo hold. It is not that on one side you have more and one side less. It is equally distributed all along the cargo hold. So 6,000 tons is loaded in number 2 cargo hold. Now let's see what happens. When you load 6,000 tons, your displacement is going to become, initially your light ship displacement was 9,000, right? And you have loaded 6,000 tons of cargo. So your displacement is going to become 9,000 plus 6,000, 15,000 tons, right? So now what happens, before seeing the weight forces, how it is acting, this 15,000 tons of displacement of the vessel has to get compensated by the buoyancy force. So the buoyancy force or the water has to get displaced. So how much of water will get displaced is same 15,000 tons, or the buoyancy force will be 15,000 tons, because that should be equal to the displacement of the vessel. So your buoyancy force will become 15,000 tons, which is acting upwards. Now that won't change. That will be equally distributed all along the vessel. If you take, it will be 5,000 in 1, 5,000 in number 2, and 5,000 in number 3. So your buoyancy force acting upwards will be equally distributed. Now let's see what happens to the weight forces which is acting downwards. In number 1 cargo hold, already we had 3,000 tons. That was our light ship. Now the weight forces which are acting downwards, let's take compartment wise. So in number 1, it was earlier 3,000. We did not load any cargo. So the weight forces will be 3,000 in number 1. In number 3 again, earlier it was 3,000. We did not load any cargo. So it will be again 3,000 in number 3. Weight forces acting downwards. But whereas if you see in number 2, initially it was 3,000. Now how much have we loaded again? We have loaded 6,000 tons of cargo. So in number 2 cargo alone, you see it is 9,000 tons of cargo, or 9,000 tons of weight forces which is acting downwards. 6,000 tons of cargo and 3,000 tons of your light displacement. So here if you see, it is more. Now due to this, what is going to happen? These excessive weight forces and buoyancy forces create the shearing forces. Now due to this uneven distribution of cargo, with 1 and 3 no cargo, and number 2 6,000 tons of cargo, you will have shearing forces. That is what you call as shearing forces. Now these shearing forces, what they do, they tend to cause the ship to be sliced apart, something like this. You see, if you take 3 compartments, your number 2 compartment, your weight is more, so it will go down, and 1 and 3 will be up. So something like this. So this is what you call as shearing forces. Now in each compartment, we need to see what is the excess force acting on each compartments. Okay. Now excess force can be a shearing force or can be a buoyancy force also, whichever is excess in that compartment. If you see in number 1 compartment, it says your excess of 2,000 tons, which means here if you see, Your lightship weight was 3000 tons. We did not load any cargo weight. So your downward force was, your weight force was only 3000. But whereas your buoyancy force was 5000, because this 15,000 tons was displaced equally all along the cargo hold. So if you take alone number one cargo hold, your buoyancy force is 5,000 tons and your weight force is 3,000 tons. So here, what is excess over here? 2,000 tons of buoyancy force is excess over here in number one cargo hold. If you take one cargo hold as separate compartment, as separate. Again, it will be the same in number three cargo hold. Here also you will have excess of buoyancy forces. So these forces are acting upwards. But whereas if you come to number two cargo hold, what is the excess force? Your weight forces total is 9,000, whereas your buoyancy force is 5,000. So if you see what is the difference between those, it is 4,000 tons. It is 4,000 excess of weight forces, because your weight forces are more, your buoyancy force is less. So here if you see, in number two cargo hold, you will have excess of weight forces of 4,000 tons acting downwards. So in 1 and 3, it is acting upwards. In number 2, it is acting downwards. This is what, this excess force is what is causing the vessel to shear apart. And this is what we call as shearing forces. Now, as we already know, since your middle compartment is loaded with, or the forces are more, your vessel is going to get sagged. Because 1 and 2 it is less and in the middle it is more. So your vessel is going to get sagged. If the opposite happens, the vessel is going to get hogged. That is if 1 and 3 is more and 2 is less. Okay. So I'll pause for some time. I just need to know like whether you guys understood or you want anything to repeat or anything. Just tell me now. Anybody, not a problem. Just tell me which part you did not understand or you want me to redo it again. All understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what your shearing forces are. Due to the shearing forces, due to this uneven distribution of shearing forces, what we are going to experience is the hogging or sagging. This hogging or sagging is what we called as the bending moment of a vessel. Okay. Whether the vessel is sagged or hogged, it depends on the weight and buoyancy distributions all along the length of the vessel. Okay. So that is what we called as bending moments. Now again, to understand this is just the theory part which I have explained you. Okay, now we'll be doing a problem and understanding how to calculate shearing forces and bending moments with an example. Now on board you will not be required to calculate shearing forces and bending moments as we do it now. So if you are not going to calculate, how is that we will come to know what are shearing forces and bending moments? How will we come to know? Anybody? Hello? How will we come to know the shearing forces and bending moments on board? Because it is very difficult to calculate on board, and here we are just calculating for box shaped vessels, and even in the problems we'll be just doing a box shaped vessels problems. So on board, where do you get all this information? So on board what you have is called a lodicator. You know it's a lodicator. Okay, in lodicator you will be inputting all the values of whatever weights on board, that is all, whatever cargo on board, or if you have ballast on board, your fuel oil, fresh water, all weights have to be entered. All these weights, once you enter, your load indicator is going to give you all the parameters like your drafts, sharing forces, bending moments, all those parameters it is going to give you. Now, why are we learning this then? If the load indicator is going to give you all the informations, it is, why are we learning this is we should have a understanding of what are sharing forces and bending moments. We will be discussing what are its limitations, how much the vessel can withstand, or how much extent can the vessel go, or you need to have the understanding of all those parameters. Okay, though you won't be calculating it, but you need to understand what the load indicator shows you. If it says you SF as 80% and bending moment as 88% or whatever it is, whatever that percentage is showing, whether it is acceptable or not, or how much is the permissible limit. So to have understanding about that, that is why we are learning this sharing forces and bending moment. Okay. So now let's start off with an example. Now, if you see in a light ship condition, a box shaped vessel, 45 meters in length, 8 meters in breadth, floats at a draft of 3 meters in fresh water. And again, it's a box shaped vessel. Okay, the length and breadth is given, the draft is given. The vessel has 3 holes, each 15 meters in length. Now, again, 90 tons of bulk cargo is loaded into number 2 cargo hold. This is very similar to whatever theory part we saw. In the theory part, we loaded 6,000 tons in number 2 cargo hold. Here again, we are loading 90 tons of bulk cargo in number 2 cargo hold, and it is trimmed level. Now, for this loaded condition, we need to calculate load curve, sharing forces curve, bending moment curve, and identify the positions where maximum sharing forces and bending moments occur. Okay. So initially we will start off with how to calculate a load curve, or how we need to see how is the distributions of the load all along the vessel. Okay. So shall we start off with this problem?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now initially we need to calculate the light ship displacement of the vessel. So which is length into breadth into draft into density. Now length into breadth 45 into 8 into 3 into 1 freshwater density. The vessel is floating at freshwater. So your light ship displacement will be 1080 tons. Now what we are going to find out is this 1080 tons, if we divide it by the length of the vessel, 45 meters, what are we going to get is the load. That is 24 tons per meter. This is the uniform load which is distributed all along the length of the vessel. So your uniform load is 24 tons per meter. That is for the light ship. Now what did we see in the problem? That cargo is loaded in number 2 cargo hold. How much it is loaded? 90 tons. So if we take alone the number 2 cargo hold, that will be 15 meters, right? So in number 2 cargo hold alone, if we divide the weight 90 tons by 50, it will give you 6 tons per meter. This is with respect to only cargo alone. How much is the cargo going to give you the load on that number 2 cargo hold? So it is going to give you a 6 ton per meter load. Okay. Now what we need to find out is the load displacement, which will be your initial light displacement plus how much cargo loaded, which will give you 1170 tons. Now this is the entire weight of the vessel now. Now as we discussed in that previous problem, our displacement went to 15,000 tons. Now to compensate that 15,000 tons, our buoyancy force was equally distributed 5,000, 5,000 each cargo hold. So that is what we are calculating here. We are calculating the final displacement is 1170 tons. So now if we divide this by the entire length of the vessel, we need to calculate what is our buoyancy force. What is our buoyancy force which is going to act upwards? That will be the entire weight of the vessel divided by the length of the vessel. That will be 26 tons per meter, which is going to act upwards. Okay, and this will be distributed equally all along 3 cargo holds as we saw in the theory part. Okay, so understood up to this, whatever we have calculated.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we have calculated our light displacement and we have calculated the load distribution, and we have calculated only at number 2 cargo hold what will be the excess load. This load distribution is already there, and in number 2 cargo hold alone, this load distribution, this 6 tons per meter will be in excess because of the cargo. And we also calculated what will be the buoyancy force which is acting upwards. Now let's put it in a tabular column and find out the load curve, which is what we will be doing now. So we have 3 holes, 1, 2 and 3. And our lightship weight load distribution was 24 tons, which we calculated, which will be 24 tons. So we will be, each cargo hold, it will be 24 tons. And the dead weight, or dead weight in fact in the sense like whatever the load distribution due to the cargo alone. We loaded only 90 tons of cargo in number 2 hold alone. Rest 1 and 3, we did not load any cargo. So in only number 2 cargo hold, your load is going to increase. And how much it will increase, which we have calculated. The weight of the cargo divided by the length of that compartment, number 2 compartment. So which is 6 tons per meter. Whereas 1 and 3, it is 0 because we did not load any cargo. In number 2, it will be 6. And number 1, it will be 0 again. 1 and 3, 0. Number 2, 6. So what will happen to the total weight force which is acting downwards? Number 1 will remain the same, 24. In number 3, it will go to 30 because initial 24 tons due to lightship and the cargo of 6 tons per meter excess. It will go to 30, and number 1 will be again 24. This buoyancy force will be equal all around 26 because that won't change. That is what we have calculated here. We have calculated the entire displacement of the vessel, and we calculated what will be the buoyancy force acting upwards. We calculated to be 26 tons per meter. This is going to act equally all around the vessel or from below. So if you see, that will be equal 26 tons acting upwards. The forces which are acting downwards, 1 and 3 is same, number 2 is 30. So if you see the difference in excess pressure or excess forces, there whatever excess forces we saw, same thing what we saw here, these excess forces, here it was 2000, here it was 2000, and here it was 4000. The same excess forces we are going to see here. So in number 1, it will be 2 up because here the buoyancy force is more. So it will be 2 up, 2 tons per meter on the positive direction if you plot it in a graph. And in number 2, it will be 4 down. That means we need to see which is excess. Here, buoyancy force is excess by 2 up. Here, weight force is excess by 4 down. And here again, it will be 2 up. Okay. Now, if we plot this on a graph, now this is the entire length of the vessel. We have distributed from 0 to 45 with 5 meters intervals. Okay, and this x-axis in this will be your curve, and we have distributed positive on the positive direction and the negative direction with loads, because we have positive over here, and negative over here. This is just to see how the load is going to get distributed. So on the first compartment, which is from up to 15 meters, we have 2 up. That is, we have a buoyancy force of 2 up. Buoyancy force is 2 tons per meter up. So we plot this here, up to 15 meters, it is 2 up. In the second compartment, your weight force is more. So you're going to go down. So your second compartment, this is the excessive weight force. We plotted up to -4. Again in one, it will be 2 up. So this is what your load curve will look like. Whatever the green portion is the excessive buoyancy force, and the orange portion is the excessive weight force. So this is how your load curve will look like. Okay. So any doubts in this? Any doubts in
No, sir.
this load distribution? Okay, I think I have another 2 minutes, after which I think the session will stop. So what we will do, we will stop up to this load curve. Okay. And in the afternoon session, when we come back, we will finish off how to do a shearing force curve and how to do a bending moment curve, which will be a continuation of this. Once you understand this part, how the loads are being distributed, then we will go ahead with how to plot it, how to plot a shearing force. Okay, fine. So any doubts in this?
No, sir.
Fine.
No, sir.
Fine. I'll stop it because since I'm recording, I have a 40 minutes limitation, after which the video will automatically stop. Okay. So again, afternoon you have class at 1500, right?
1300.
What?
Yes, sir.
1300.
1300.
1300 hours.
Okay, fine. What I will do, I'll send you a ID for that 1300, and we'll again come back at 1300. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, guys. Okay. Thank you. We'll see you at 1300.
Thank-
Yes, sir.